Hello, my name's Devin Young, and one of the things I love about archery is you can tell someone's full of shit when they're giving you technical advice on how to do archery. The more technical and specific their advice, the more full of shit they are, because archery is some voodoo magic created by some very, very, very ungovernable people who just wanted to use sticks to throw other sticks. That's what archery is. And people who get all technical about, and that the bow should never move, and you go to the anchor point where you find the snake in the river. I don't know what they're talking about. I think they're crazy. I subscribe to the school of archery called, my dad had a bow from the 60s, and I was depressed in middle school and I didn't have anything to do. So I just did this all the time. And then I got another bow from the 60s for like $110 because the other bow wasn't even in good shape. And it doesn't even matter because I'm just throwing sticks with sticks. Now, I'm saying a lot of stuff and I'm being kind of out there on purpose because people get all mystical about archery, but not even mystical. They get like, archery is the greatest curse to Pharisees ever devised by man. The Pharisees can't wrap their heads around it because it's simply too good. I'll show you what I mean. So people talk about anchor point and all this stuff, and they're like, you have to like hold the bow the same way every time. I don't really give a shit how I hold the bow. You know, like I don't pay attention to any of this. This is how I shoot. You want to see how I shoot? That's how I shoot. I actually missed there. I didn't give enough of a fuck. I don't care. I'll admit I missed. I don't care, but watch. Like, that's how you shoot a bow. I'll just shoot some arrows and I'll talk. And we'll do some philosophy. Because I'm getting around to a point of view, to a certain technical insight that I've had. So you see, like, I'm not really caring about anchor point. I'm just holding the bow. That's a bullseye. I'll show you the bullseye. Maybe slightly above the bullseye. I'll show you my target after. But you see, like, I'm moving the bow after I release the arrow. Because technique, it's just magic. Stop thinking about it. People allow the techniques to become technical limitations. They don't need to be technical limitations. It's just using a stick to shoot other sticks. So specifically when I'm talking about holding the bow steady, completely unnecessary. Completely and utterly unnecessary. So I'm just holding tension, then I release the tension. It's not even to move the bow out of the way. It's like, oh, you're moving the bow out of the way of the arrow. I'm not. I'm actually moving the bow into the arrow. For whatever reason, that makes me more accurate. Look at this. Look at this grouping that this is my lackadaisical. So there's the first one I missed. I told you I missed, and I was going to admit to that. And then that's my effing grouping. That's my grouping. Doing like that, like not even trying. I've seen people, I've gone to archery clubs and I've shot next to people who compete in archery. They do competitive archery and they get archery lessons to compete in archery. And their groupings are worse. Their groupings are far worse. And they've got their bow and they're tuning their bow. I got that bow for $110 at my local archery store, and it was made in like 1965. I could shoot a stick. I could shoot a stick accurately. You could just give me a stick, and I'll just bend the stick, and I'll put a string on it, and I'll use that stick to throw other sticks accurately, because accuracy comes from me, not the bow. I'm just feeling where the arrow's gonna go, and it goes there. Like, what else could it be? I'm literally moving the bow into the arrow. I'm not using an anchor point. I'm hardly aiming. I'm talking to a camera while shooting arrows without even really looking at where I'm shooting. I'm just kind of shooting them. How am I getting these groupings? Like, how am I doing this good of a job when I'm doing everything supposedly wrong? And this is what I realized. I've been trying to work on my archery form throughout the videos that I've been making, and I've been like, ooh, I'm gonna work on my archery form. And I realized something that, oh my God. So I accidentally clicked on TikTok or something when I swear to God, TikTok must have like randomly opened on my phone. Goddamn Chinese. I don't trust them. I don't trust anyone, you know? I don't trust the Chinese. I don't trust the Germans. I don't trust the Israelis. I don't trust the Americans. I just trust myself and my bow. Just hit the end of my bowstring with my arrow. My arrow knock, whatever. But there's such a great rant about it. My whole point is that there's really no archery technique. There's just the determination to put the arrow where you want the arrow to go. Like, and I was distracted while doing this because my rant was interrupted. And it's going to be interrupted again because I have to put my phone up again. Whatever. I don't know. I'm all in a... But I mean, look at this. So, basically... There is no... That was really weird, because I was like, I could have sworn my phone was still videotaping. Maybe I just hit, because I can see my hand, so I must have hit TikTok, I guess, or maybe it like, yeah, it probably did. Now I just have to make sure, because then the TikTok notification shows up at the top of my screen. I want to make TikTok not able to do notifications. I don't like TikTok. That's like my least favorite social media app, because they're the most censored app. And, yeah, they're the most censored app, and they're the most pushy. And I trust them the least. But the less I care about form, all I'm doing is I'm just feeling where it's going to go. You know, like, they say about Orientalism that the Orientals value, I don't know what was it, the Orientals, but there was this Western obsession with the eye, and Camille Paglia was contrasting the Western obsession with the eye to the Hindu obsession with the circulation of the blood. And I think that both of those are inferior to just feeling, like just raw feeling where the arrow's gonna go. And just, that's all I'm doing. I'm not looking, really. It's not really an eye thing. It's like a heart thing. I'm feeling the arrow coming out of me. That's all I'm doing, is I'm just feeling with my body. And like, I don't even think I'm particularly great at archery. Yeah, I will be. I'm definitely going to be, because of my sensitivity to this feeling. But it's simply, there is no real, like, I see people like talking about anchor point and all this stuff in these videos, and they think about it like it's like a religion to them. And I feel bad for them because I think that they're being held back by it the same way that I was held back by it. Because how could you not be held back by it? It's just, like, the real archer's paradox is that the more you try to focus on your form, the worse you do. And it's because of this archer's paradox, because the flight path of the arrow is so unpredictable that you actually just have to trust yourself. There's no other way to do it. There's no other way to do it. You just have to trust yourself and not overthink it. And that's why sin is an archery term. Because the sort of religious self-trust and perfection that the saints we're talking about is attained through, and I'm just going to keep showing you my target so you can just see my form. Like, I mean, this isn't, I don't know, like, I don't think I'm particularly great at archery, but I just want you to see, like, this is like what you could expect to be able to do easily by just getting a random bow and not caring about your form. Like, I care about my form, but I care about my form the same way I care about my form when I'm doing push-ups. Like, I'm training myself to have a skill, and the skill is putting arrows on a target, and I'm not really worried about, like, I don't know. I mean, my mentality with this is a mentality of, like, I just want to be able to pick up a bow, any bow, and be able to shoot that bow accurately, under pressure, under any environment, without fatigue. Because people talk about, oh, like, you don't want to use a bow that's too heavy for you, or, oh, what if you get tired while you're shooting the bow, and all this stuff. And, like, oh, don't do more than 40 arrows or something, because then you'll get tired and your form will suffer. I think all that is, that's a certain kind of archery. That's not what I'm doing. Let's just call this bow therapy. This is bow therapy. And bow therapy is meant to instill in you self-confidence. And this self-confidence comes from the fact that you can take a stick and you can throw other sticks accurately at whatever you want, at any distance you want, whenever you want. That's the confidence I'm trying to instill in myself with bow therapy. And in order to do that, if the string starts hitting my arm, I'll adjust the brace height. I think the brace height's fine for now. I haven't measured it. It looks fine. I probably should tighten the string up when I unstring it. But bow therapy, you think about the horse archers and how they had no knock point. They had no knock point on the string and no cutout for the arrow. And yet they were still able to shoot accurately. How? Purely by feel. It's just feel. You just feel where it's going to go. And the movement of the hand, the fact that I'm moving after I release the shot is actually moving my arrow where I want it to go in some mysterious way. It is moving my arrow where I want my arrow to go. So I'm not going to fight that tendency. I'm just going to keep on feeling. And I actually kind of like play with it. I like to just play with it and see where the arrow is going to go. Like, I'm not fighting where the arrow is going to go. I'm not even really thinking about where the arrow is going to go. That was actually my closest shot to center yet, when I wasn't even thinking about the arrow is going to go. I'm just feeling. And the arrow's going where it's going, and I'm just feeling. And that's all I'm doing. And people would say, oh, it takes a lot of shots to do that. And it does. It does take a lot of shots to do that. But I mean, like, look at this grouping. Like, look at this. And I'm just doing this. I'm not even going to get into, like, my physical state of being and stuff. You can just watch my other video. Like, this is just my base level skill here. Doing this. And like, I don't adjust. I don't have a bow that I adjust. I don't, like, shoot at the same range every day. Like, I vary the range. Sometimes I shoot at 80 meters. Some days I shoot at 8 meters. I just shoot. And I've only got back into archery, like, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Before then, I hadn't done archery in over a decade. And it's not that hard. It's just gotta get obsessed with it. Like, that's sort of the thing. I think people, they want to approach archery like it's like an academic subject. You gotta just fall in love with the bow. That's really all it is. It's just falling in love with this interesting device that stores tension. I feel like I should adjust the brace height slightly. Just falling in love with this interesting device that stores tension. That's how I think about the bow. The bow is, like, Nietzsche talks about the bow as... Okay, so I'll compare the bow to the sling. So the sling is always in an energy state, like a low energy state. The bow has two energy states. It has the energy state of strung and the energy state of unstrung. So the bow reflects this idea that energy can be stored in order to create spaces of higher energy state, which can then be used preferentially over something like a sling that exists in one constant energy state. So a bow is something that exists under a constant state of tension. And Nietzsche compared the bow to the human being. He said a human being is like a bow, insofar as a great man is constantly under tension. Sexual tension, he specifically mentions at one point beyond good and evil, but tension of all sorts. This ability to be under tension is what makes the man, like the bow, useful. And Nietzsche said that there will be people who will try to, in the name of helping the man, unbend the bow. But that makes the bow less useful. And fundamentally, makes the bow less useful. But you have to become obsessed with the bow as this metaphor for the human being. And this obsession with the bow creates skill at archery. It's not anything else. Like, I like dream about the flight path of arrows for no other reason than that I love it. And like, right now, I'm not, like, I'm trying to hit the center of the target, but I'm also just seeing where the arrow goes at the same time. Like, I don't have a particular neediness to hit the center of the target, because this is just practice. If I needed to hit the center of the target, I could. but I don't need to because it's practice. In the same way when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to get better at jiu-jitsu. If I needed to win, I'd be able to win. And I've had that happen where there have been people who have beaten me every single practice for a year, and then I had a tournament, I competed against that same person, and I beat him the first time. Why is that? Because he was practicing, he was training to beat me in practice. I was training to beat him in a tournament. So I was able to beat him in a tournament, and he was able to beat me in practice. I do wonder if I'll ever do an archery competition, but my point simply is that you can see that my lack of adherence to any particular religious form is not throwing my shots off in any great capacity. You see people talking about anchor point and all this stuff, and they're not noticeably more accurate than I am. Like, all this stuff that they're supposedly doing doesn't really seem to improve their accuracy a whole bunch. And I just wanted to point that out because I think that a lot of like what makes archery so charming is the fact that there's no real right or wrong way to do it. And again, this grouping, there's no real right or wrong way to do archery. It's just sort of the way that works for you. And I think that's why we see periods of popularity in archery where we'll see like a golden age of archery in the 60s, and then it will fade away because essentially I think the more people get obsessed with form, the less people want to do archery, because this obsession with form makes archery not fun, but it's also unnecessary. It makes you worse at archery. Like, the more people obsess over their form in archery, the worse they get at it, and then the less popular archery becomes. So I think that we're going to see another golden age of archery. Probably going to get into bow making. I have this weird feeling that getting into bow making is like the thing to do right now. But this is, I don't know. I mean, I could shoot a stick accurately. This is a stick. You can skip ahead and see my grouping, or you can wait and see if I say anything, but I'm just going to kind of focus on this a little bit. Maybe I'll end the video after this. Maybe I'll keep it going. But I don't know. I just see those videos of people like talking about compound bows versus recurve bows versus like composite bows versus all this stuff, and to me it's just a bunch of BS, because we don't really understand archery that well. So you're saying this is how accurate the bow is, but you're really just saying how accurate you are, because the bow doesn't produce accuracy. You produce accuracy. I think I'm going to wrap it up here, but because I enjoy shooting a little more when I don't feel the need to perform. But I mean, look at that. Look at that freaking grouping. Give me 2 years and I'll be doing that at 2 football fields.